What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nasher. Welcome back to the channel. Now before we get into today's video guys, we are 22 subs away from 200. Excuse me. 22 subs away from 200 guys. That is quite the accomplishment even after the amount of time I've been doing this. It's still an accomplishment, but I know we can get to 200 subs by the time the summer comes to a close, because the moment we do, I'm going to open up this Korean Strike of Neos booster box in its entirety on the channel on the hopes of potentially pull this guy, Elemental Hero Air Neos, the so-called forbidden Yu-Gi-Oh card. Is it really forbidden? I'll let you be the judge of that. If this channel gets to 500 subs, I will open up this Korean LOB booster box in its entirety on the channel that I got from my partners over at Collector Store, so be sure to check them out. Link and address will be in the description below. By checking them out, not only does it support them, it also supports the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. On the hopes to potentially pull a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a Dark Magician, a Red Eyes Black Dragon, a piece of Exodia. The possibilities are out there, guys. However, if this channel gets to 1,000 subs, I will open up this first edition Toon Chaos box in its entirety on the channel that I also got from my partners over at Collector Store, on the hopes of potentially pull my second ever Collector's Rare. Because my last Collector's Rare that I pulled, came out of my Genesis Impact box opening, and I pulled this. A Collector's Rare B-Cop from the Underworld. Let me try and take it out of the sleeve. Give me a second, guys. Take it out of the sleeve. There we go. Look at that, guys. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. So if you guys want to see those boxes get opened, maybe you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue. Maybe you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue. Deck profiles, card discussions, WWE topic videos, or maybe, just maybe, you guys want some premium live event predictions and results. Well, if you guys want all of that and more, my channel is the place to be. So if you guys have not done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and be sure to follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. Now, oh, also before I forget, I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which is this. What is your all-time favorite DM deck? As in like, who's your favorite like anime character deck from the DM era? I guess I should have said. Let me know down in the comments below, because for today's video, normally I would do an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue, but I decided to switch it up a bit for today's video, just because I wanted to give this week a bit of a variety, if you will, a bit of a switch up, if you will. So today I'm going to be doing an updated Harpie deck profile. Now for those who are new to the channel and don't know about these deck profiles, what I do is obviously I show them off on the channel. I explain each card, and explain, some of the different plays that you can make, and then after about an hour or two, maybe a little later on in the day, I post a photo of the deck on my Instagram, So if you guys wanted to check the deck out and see what it looked like, you guys can follow me on my Instagram and take a look at it, and obviously give the photo a thumbs up. So So with this version of the Harpie deck, it doesn't use up number 89, unfortunately, because obviously number 89 was hugely instrumental in so many different like OTKs in various like Cashtira decks and whatnot. Excuse me. Shoutouts to Brisk for the pink lemonade. Not sponsored. I just love their pink lemonade, and I just realized I forgot to put in my piercings. So yeah, I actually wear piercings. This is what I have. Diamond, you guys, diamond. I think these are actually real. I don't know. Anyway, so with number 89 now officially banned, I needed to give this deck a bit of a reboot. And honestly, this version is actually a lot better than the previous one, because the previous one, it worked. It was a good deck. The problem was that was number 89 with the card banned. I needed to switch it up. So here's the deck. I'm gonna showcase it to you guys right now. Hopefully you guys are ready, and let's get straight into it. So kicking things off, we are running 3 copies of the OG herself, Harpie Lady. If you're not playing this card, you're not playing the deck. That's just how it works. This card is pretty much instrumental with Elegant Egotist. So if you have like any one of the other Harpies on board, you can activate Elegant Egotist, summon out Harpie Lady, and can instantly go into a rank 4, which is pretty cool depending on what rank 4s you may have at your disposal. Or you can even also go into a synchro play, which is kind of funny because any one Harpie can also be a tuner, which is kind of cool. Next up, we are running 2 copies of Harpie's Pet Dragon, Fearsome Fire Blast. This is essentially Cyber Dragon for the whole deck, and what's cool about this is that if you have Harpie Channeler on board, you can special summon Fearsome Fire Blast from your hand. Harpie Channeler's level becomes 7, and you can instantly go into a rank 7 play. But again, it mainly just depends on what your rank 7s look like in your X shed, which we will get to later on in the video. But if you guys have never seen this card before, it's a 7-star Wind Dragon with 2k attack, 2500 defense, and its effects read: monsters cannot target level 6 or lower Harpie monsters for attacks. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control a level 6 or lower wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense. If this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can send one winged beast monster from your deck to the graveyard. So the idea is is to basically Fool's Burial any one of your wind monsters, and you can just combo off from there, which is pretty cool. Then of course we got the basic lineup: 3 Harpist, 3 Perfumer, 3 Channeler, and 2 Oracle. Harpist effects read as follows. When this card is normal summon, you can target one of the winged beast monster you control and a face-up monster your opponent controls, return them to the hand. The other effect reads: during the end phase, if this card is in the grave because it was sent there this turn, you can add a level 4 winged beast monster with 1500 or less attack from the deck to the hand. So this basically, so you can actually use both of these effects in the exact same turn. So the idea is for you to normal summon Harpist, trigger its effect, take, I'll say, Harpie Lady, and I'll say your opponent's Appaloosa, if you will, bounce them back to the hand or I guess in the opponent's case, back to the extra deck, and then activate Elegant Egotist, resummon the Harpie Lady from your hand, go into a synchro play, and then just go straight into your end phase, and you can add basically either Harpie Lady, Harpie Perfumer, Harpie Channeler, or even a Harpie Oracle to your hand, which is that right there is a pretty good play. If that's a good play, I don't know what is. but still, this is basically Compulse Rhoda. That's all it is. It's Compulse Rhoda. Harpie Perfumer's effect reads if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a spell trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Harpie Lady Sisters in its text. If you controlled a level 5 or higher Harpie monster when you activate this effect, you can also add a second such card. So this is basically Spell Trap Rhoda, but in a way it's basically Pot of Greed because you're adding 2 cards to your hand. So the idea would be for you to add Harpie's Hunting Ground and Harpie's Feather Rest, or you could go Harpie's Feather Rest and Harpie's Feather Storm, or you can go Harpie's Feather Storm and Harpie's Feather Duster. The combinations that you can add, the combination of cards that they can add to your hand, it's just impalpable. It's absolutely insane. So this is sort of like Pot of Greed. Channeler has a bit of a weird effect. So the effect reads that you can discard a card, discard 1 Harpie card actually, special summon a Harpie monster from your deck in defense except itself. But the crazy part is that you'll be using that effect on Fearsome Fire Blast, which will also trigger Harpie Channeler's second effect, which reads, while you control a dragon, this card's level becomes 7. Again, it basically just gives you a rank, and it's a 1-card rank 7. That's all it is, which is pretty cool. But it's kind of weird, but it's pretty cool. And then Harpie Oracle has two different effects. So, which I believe you can actually use them in sequence. It just depends. But the effects read that if you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And on normal or special summon, you can add a spell trap from your graveyard to your hand that lists Harpie Lady Sisters in its text, which is actually kind of cool. So it can only be used during the end phase. So if you activated Elegant Egotist already, you can add it from your graveyard to your hand, or you can even also, ironically enough, add Harpie's Feather Duster to your hand, which will make the card even more powerful, and will probably get the card banned at some point. Probably will. Probably will, but still, that's actually pretty nuts. Then, of course, and then to round out the monsters, we got 2 Ash Blossom and 2 Ghost Spell, because obviously you don't want your opponent to be doing a single thing. For the spells, for the 1-ofs, I've got Harpie's Feather Duster, Rank Up Magic Numeron Force, Monster Reborn, and Harpie's Hunting Ground. The biggest downside with Harpie's Hunting Ground is that the card is reciprocal. So the effect reads, all Winged Beast monsters gain 200 attack and defense, and if any Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters is normal or special summon, the player who conducted the summon targets a spell or trap on the field. That player destroys that target. So in a situation where your opponent activates Monster Reborn and they resummon, I'll say I'll say Harpie Perfumer, they can use Hunting Ground to destroy itself or to destroy any back row that you may have at your disposal, which is not what you want to see. That's like the biggest downside of Harpie's Hunting Ground, but as long as you're able to make your board and you just overpower your opponent, you're pretty much just off to the races there. But what's even more cool is that I have a number monster in this extra deck that can work with Rank Up Magic Numeron Force. And the crazy part is that Numeron Force is also a Dark Ruler no more. So the effect reads: target one face-up Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck a chaos number with the same type as that monster you control, but a rank higher, by using it as material, which also counts as an Xyz summon. Then if any face-up cards are on the field other than the monster summoned by this card, negate the effects of those cards. So I am running number 104 Masquerade and Chaos number 104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. If Umbral Horror Masquerade is the only card that you have on board, it essentially becomes a one-sided Dark Ruler no more, and it negates all the cards that your opponent may have on board, and you can just push for game, which is absolutely nuts. Monster Reborn is in here as a way to try and go into more of your Xyz plays. So if you have, let's say your board consists of, I'll say Harpie Lady, Harpist, Perfumer, and Channeler, and you have Oracle in your graveyard. You can activate Monster Reborn, summon out the Harpie Oracle, use its effect during the end phase, obviously, and go into an Xyz monster that I have in this extra deck, known as Barome, the Sacred Sheep Shrub, which I will get to its effect later on in this video. But this card basically is a way to go into Zeus, which is pretty cool, which is kind of cool. So that's basically the only reason why I've got Reborn in here. If that wasn't a play that I wanted to make, I could have just opted out of using Monster Reborn, and I probably would have done like a third Ash, or maybe a third like Bell. Maybe I could have done also a third like Oracle or whatever, but still. But moving on into the rest of the spells, we got two Pot of Avarice, 2 Harpie's Feather Rest, 2 Wing Requital, and 3 Elegant Egotist. They're basically all draw cards. So Avarice lets you take any 5 monsters in your graveyard, put them back into your deck or your extra deck, draw 2. Plain simple. Helps you. It helps you, like, I guess in a way, recycle cards back into your deck, but helps thin out the deck even more. Feather Rest is really cool, because if you have Cyber Slash Harpie Lady on board, you basically get to draw 2 cards instead of only 1, which is pretty cool. So what's cool about this is its effect. Target 3 Harpie Lady and or Harpie Lady Sisters in your grave, shuffle them into the deck and draw a card. If you controlled a level 5 or higher Harpie monster when you activated this effect, draw 2 instead. So it's sort of like a mini Pot of Avarice, which is pretty cool. The only downside is that you are locked into wind monsters, which I think this actually has 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 wind monsters in the extra deck, which is a bit of a like, it's okay, but for the most part, you're probably gonna just end up setting and passing for the most part. Wing Requital is essentially Pot of Greed, but you're paying 600 life points. And you have to have at least 2 monsters, 2 wing-based monsters with different original names. So it could be Harpie Lady and Harpie Harpist, could be Harpie Channeler and Harpie Oracle. The possibilities are out there, and you draw 2. Elegant Egotist is basically a way to thin out the deck and to thin out the deck for you to see your pot of avarice, to see any of your traps that you may have at your disposal. It's pretty crazy. Now for the traps. The trap lineup is nuts. So we have 3 Harpie's Featherstorm, 2 Imperm, 2 Chain Dispel, 2 Crackdown, and 2 Hysteric Party. Harpie's Featherstorm is basically Dark Ruler is basically Dark Ruler no more, but in the form of a trap card, and if it's destroyed by an opponent's card effect, whether it was set or whether it was negated actually, then you can actually add Harpie's Feather Duster from your deck or grave to your hand. So if Duster's in your graveyard, this is another card, another way that you can recycle Duster back to your hand, and that's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts, you guys. Imperm is obviously Imperm. Chain Dispel is actually a really good way to stop to stop any back row that your opponent may have. So if they were to activate, let's say as an example, let's say they activated, what would be a good example? I'll say Twin Twister. Let's say they activated Twin Twister, right? Let's say your opponent activated Twin Twister on, I'll say this card, which was obviously set face down, plus an Imperm. Let's say that you flip up Chain Dispel, take any 2 take the other 2 copies of the Twin Twister that your opponent has in their deck, destroy them, and then obviously the original Twin Twister would trigger, and both Chain Dispel and Imperm would both be destroyed, which is pretty cool. So Chain Dispel, it's a way to prevent your opponent from using any more copies of any back row that they may have at their disposal, which is pretty nice. Crackdown is basically a floodgate, absolutely nasty. I know that there aren't a whole lot of decks that run it anymore, but this card is actually kind of cool because if your opponent is running like a beast deck or whatnot, this is perfect for you to go into your Tri-Brigade Link monsters that I'm running in the extra, which I'll get to in a bit. So it's pretty cool. And then 2 copies, and then the 2 Hysteric Party basically is called the Haunted for Harpies. But you can basically just spam your whole board with nothing but Harpies, and you can go into not Link. You can actually go into a rank 4 play, or 2 if you want it, which is actually kind of cool. So that's pretty much it. If for the main deck, the extra deck, the extra deck, we've got. I'm gonna go from Links to Synchro because that's how I want to do it. So for my Links, I've got Tri-Brigade Rugal, the Silver Sheller, Tri-Brigade Farigid, the Barren Blossom, and Tri-Brigade Shureg, the Ominous Omen. Rugal's effect reads, during your opponent's main phase, as a quick effect, you can special summon a level 4 or lower beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monster from your hand or grave, but negates effects, and return it to the hand during the end phase. If this card is sent to the grave, you can make all monsters your opponent currently control lose 300 attack for each monster type you control until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So the idea, so the idea is to force your opponent to destroy this card, and basically all the monsters that they have on board lose a significant amount of attack, which can help you push for game, which is absolutely nasty. Now Farragut's effect says during your main phase you can special summon a level 4 or lower beast warrior, or winged beast monster from your hand, and you cannot use monsters as link material for the rest of the turn except beast warrior or winged beast monsters. If this card is sent to the grave, you can draw a card, then place a card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So this is basically like, with that effect is sort of like Card Trader, where you can take a card, put it back into your deck, and draw a completely new card, which isn't too bad. Now Shurag, the Ominous Omen, is much more powerful. So the effect reads: if this card is special summoned, or if another beast warrior or winged beast monster is special summoned to your field, you can banish a card on the field. If this card is sent to the grave, you can add one beast warrior or winged beast monster from your deck to your hand, whose level is less than or equal to the number of your banished beast warrior and winged beast monster. So that's actually kind of cool. It's much more powerful because you're basically breaking your opponent's whole board, which is absolutely nasty. But if you want to talk about cards that break boards, Unchained Abomination is the card that I have added into the extra deck. This card can just pop 3 cards on board. Plain and simple. The first effect reads: if a card on the field is destroyed by a card effect except this card, except during the damage step, target a card on the field, destroy it. That's 1 pop. When another monster is destroyed by battle, target a card on the field, destroy it. 2nd pop. During the end phase, you can target 1 card on the field, destroy it. That's the 3rd pop. 3 pops in 1 single turn. That's how nasty this card is. There's really not much else to say about it. For my Xyz lineup, I've got Vylon. I've got Vylon de Sigma, which is kind of like a. Excuse me, which has a similar effect to Thousand Nights Restrict, which is kind of cool. Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, which is a good one because it can attack your opponent directly, which is pretty nice. And the best part is that it can only attack directly if it has material, which is not too bad. Barrelmaid, the Sacred Sheep Shrub. This card actually requires at least 2 or more level 4 monsters. So this is a generic Xyz monster. Is it possible to summon it? Absolutely. So the effect reads, you can detach 1 material from this card, target a normal trap in your grave, place it on the bottom of the deck, then draw a card. If a normal trap card is activated except during the damage step, you can detach a material from an Xyz monster you control, and if you do, special summon a level 4 monster from your hand. So what's cool about this is that you can target cards such as Chain Dispel, Imperm, or even Harpie's Featherstorm, put it back into your deck, and draw a new card. And what's even more cool about this card is that you're allowed to special summon a level 4 Harpie monster from your hand, as long as you detach a material off of any Xyz monster you may have at your disposal, which is pretty cool. But what's even more cool about this is that if you don't use any of its effects and it gets impermed, you can use Sheep Shrub to go into Zeus, which is actually kind of cool. But speaking of cards that can help make Zeus, Time Thief Redoer. Not much else to say about it. Not much else to say about it. You can basically just thin out your opponent's deck one standby phase at a time, and it can help make Zeus, give you a fuck ton of board wipes. Not much else to say about that. Not much else to say about that. I am also running as well, number 104 Masquerade, and obviously its Chaos form, Umbral Horror Masquerade. Obviously it's super easy to make Umbral Horror Masquerade, especially if you have Hysteric Party in hand and on, activated, or if you have 2 copies of Elegant Egotist, you can go. I'll say Harpie Channeler triggers effect. Pitch. I'll say Harpie's Featherstorm. Special summon out Fearsome Fire Blast. Activate both copies of Elegant Egotist. Summon out two Harpie ladies, and boom, Masquerade on board. So what's cool about Masquerade is that you can actually mill the top card of your opponent's deck to their graveyard, in which case if they only have like less than 5 cards in their main deck, that signals doom. It signals doom, and your opponent won't be able to do a damn thing about it, which is absolutely insane. Plus, it even also has a sort of like a Solemn Judgment effect, but you also get to inflict 800 damage to your opponent, which is actually kind of cool. Now, Umbral Horror Masquerade is kind of a bit tricky to summon, but if you have Numeron Force in hand, it's not that difficult. So Umbral Horror Masquerade's effect reads, when this card is special summoned, you can target 1 spell or trap on the field, destroy it. If this card has Masquerade as material, it gains the effect that reads, once per turn during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated on your opponent's side of the field, detach 1 material from this card, negate the activation, then send a random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. So it's essentially Solemn Judgment Confiscation rolled into 1 card, but what's even more hilarious is that you can summon back Umbral Horror Masquerade with Monster Reborn, and you can instantly just MST one of your opponent's back row once again, which is pretty cool. But what if it gets impermed, right? What if it gets hit with an infinite impermanence and you're not allowed to use its effect? What do? Simple. You go into Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger. This is actually one of the nastiest cards ever printed. It's still busted. So the effect reads, you can also exceed some of this card by using a rank 5 or 6 exceeds monster you control as material, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing. So obviously Gaia Dragon doesn't have any other effects where you detach materials. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad if you have Barrelmaid plus Gaia Dragon on board, because if you have Barrelmaid's effect if you have Barrelmaid on board and its second effect triggers where you can special summon a monster from your hand, then you can detach a material off of Gaia Dragon every single time, and it's not that bad because Gaia Dragon doesn't have any effects to detach, where it detaches materials, which is pretty cool. But other than Gaia Dragon, the only other rank 7 I have in this extra deck is Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. If this card's on board, good luck to your opponent. They'll be conflicted. It's either they commit and they lose life points, or they don't commit and they lose life points. Because either way, they're gonna lose. they lose life points either way, whether it's by battle or by card or by this card's effect. They lose. And speaking of losing, Zeus. The ultimate game changer, still one of the nastiest cards to this day, even after it's been out for about, what, 3 years now? It's kind of crazy how what was it, Phantom Rage? Yeah, how Phantom Rage is a 3-year-old set. Who would have ever thought, right? Absolutely insane. And then we got 2 copies of Cyber / Harpie Lady to round out the entire extra deck. Now, my side deck... Now, my side deck was mainly constructed to go up against Cashier decks, Runic decks, and Sky Striker decks as well. So for my side deck, I've got 2 copies of Nibiru, the Primal Bee, 2 Ghost Ogre, 2 Droll and Lockbird, mainly for the Runic decks and the Sky Striker decks, because Sky Striker has now made its way back into the meta, which is absolutely insane. 1 copy of Callby, I don't know why this is at 1. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. 2 Zing Zang Hu to stop the Runic... No, not to stop the Runic decks, to stop the Cashier decks in their place, which is pretty nasty. 2 Solemn Strike and 2 Solemn Warning. So, guys, that's going to do it for this video. That's going to do it for this deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as I try to re-log into my Nexus. And be sure to turn on the notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any future content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.